Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of 32 and Beyond. And today, it's going to be one of those days where we talk a little bit about some of those moments that don't just reshape you, but because of what takes place in your life, exponentially, that ripple effect is something that carries on decades later. And so, the last thing we talked about, obviously, is, me hitting the yard and me kind of going through the transition of figuring out, what I'm going to do and, my spot, my place. Because for all intents and purposes, I've got 25 to life. And basically, this is where I live. This is my home. Hate to say that, but that's what's up. And all these dudes around me, yeah, they're real deal. They're the guys that are going to basically really test me on who I want to be. And at the time, I didn't really know. So, talk to you a little bit about that incident on the ball field. That was interesting. But the problem sometimes that we don't really walk away with an understanding of, well, how's this going to work for me? How's this going to benefit me? And at the time, I really was kind of in that spot. I wasn't able to really connect the dots on that until a few years later. But as I talked to you, I was telling you that I was getting involved in sports a little bit, and I was doing those types of things where, that's what everybody was basically doing. There's, all the cool cats, and the level of, I guess, athletes on the yard at the time, it was pretty remarkable. Like I said, talent in prison is immense, and at the time, sports, all those guys, man, they just, for some reason, they're getting ready to go to college, they're getting ready to do the things, and all of a sudden they decide to start selling or doing something with drugs or drunk driving or whatever it is, and now they're next to me. Yeah, fun. And so, in talking to you more about sports today, this is what this episode is going to be, is really just defining how sports really took a hold of who I would end up becoming. Now, in order to define that, I need to tell you a little bit about how I saw myself then, before sports. And so I knew that when it come to communication, I really didn't have a lot to say. I really didn't know how to communicate what I was feeling. And in having those kind of conversations with others that were meaningful and deep and revealed the aha moments, they weren't really there, ever. And there was really no excuse other than the fact that I just didn't ever have sharpened those skills. I just never really got into that. So I wasn't a very good communicator. And coming from a place where, I was just basically mentally abused and traumatized every day, now I walk into an environment where that is tenfold because it's all around me. And if it's not happening to me, it's happening to the good dude over there. And that affects me because now I'm in his shoes because I'm just having a complete trauma episode right there. Not really knowing it. I was so hyper reacted to everything going on around me. I saw a lot of that, people being treated so badly by the guards, so bad. And so and then just the fellow inmates, the guys around us, because we can't take it out on the guards, so we take it on each other. And so that was something that, was really, I guess, very present right off the bat. So as sports goes, again, I couldn't communicate very well. I didn't know anything about team. I didn't know anything about family. Didn't know about relationships or anything like that. And I didn't know anything about, how to work together and sacrifice. Absolutely not. And, working hard was very much just a bad taste in my mouth because of the way I saw work. Growing up, Dad basically freaking threw it in my face. It was like shoving, putting a dog's nose in his mess. That's work. So none of that really, and that's who I was. I just didn't have anything else to really help me figure out, what else I was going to do. I just basically was going to just be who I was. The good news is that I didn't know who I was. I thought I did, but I had no idea. So the one thing that I also saw is that anytime I lost or I was defeated or I didn't accomplish something or I failed at something, man, it was rough. It was rough. Most times I would just be like, well, not doing that again. And so when you walk into sports, not knowing a lot about it, you learn real quick how badly you really are at something you've just never done. Not really. So I had to make that choice that I was going to start to I was going to be about this, or I was going to be about the guys that are just running around getting high, getting in fights, manipulating each other and all that crazy shit. Because I knew that real well, really. I mean, I did. So I just was like, I really want to play sports. I thought it's really fun. It's distracting. The days were going by fast. So I just started really pouring myself into that. Now, in order to do that, I had to develop the skills that I didn't really have. So when you're communicating on the ball field, it's essential that you tell everybody what's going on, not just with you, but reminding them about what's going on with them. And I didn't know that at first, but as time went on and I recognized other people doing it and nobody's getting butthurt or, tell me what to do, or nobody's, really getting, they're not getting into a place where they're defensive. Everybody was like, absolutely, man, got you. Or for sure, thank you. And that was really interesting. And it's because we had a common goal. We wanted to win the game. We wanted to get to the championship and we wanted to win the championship. And so as that goes, we would practice together a lot, but I would practice a lot on my own because I wanted to get better because I kind of sucked. I wasn't bad, but I just wasn't very good. And I told you guys earlier about that. So wake up at, in the morning and go to the gym and, practice ground balls. And anybody that would be walking by the track, I'd ask them if they could hit me a few. And I did that for, a bunch out in the outfield and stuff. And, I got to where, as the months go by, I become the guy that people are recognizing going, oh, this guy's pretty good. And it's just because I took bad and made it better. And I just worked at it. And I did it and I wanted to do that. So those things translate into the work that we do every day. And I didn't realize that until, I actually walked up to the world of programs and stuff. And that takes a lot of work to uncover the onions, all the layers of just bullshit that has made you really the self-centered, egotistical, narcissistic, all the unfortunate things that can occur with trauma as a young kid growing up without the real feeling of love and care and kindness. And so, I'm developing these skills, but I don't really realize it. I'm just going with the flow and I'm learning, how to interact with other people, relationships. What? Now I have to trust these guys? These guys are the ones that could make or break the game. And, for me, that was life because I was in it and, that's my world now. So in a sense, it became kind of a family dynamic. Now, obviously, it's not to the point where, we loved each other or anything like that, but we definitely respected each other enough to say, I got your back. What? I got your back? What the hell is that? I got your six. And that's what it really felt like on a team. And for the first time, I was a part of something that was positive, that you knew each other was going to lift you up and pick you up, and that we're going to always have your back because it wasn't just that it was in their best interest, it was in the collective, it was in the tribe's best interest. Now, I want you to remember that word tribe. You probably heard it before, but when it comes to sports or community or family, tribal members, yeah, we're all in. We're about it. And I just started to walk into a place where I started to recognize how I was in a relationship and how different it was with everybody else. Because I was very much arm's length, didn't trust you, didn't want to talk to you, because I just knew that you were going to do what my dad did, which is betray me. And not show me any kind of love or respect or kindness because everybody's out for themselves. That's what it felt like. But when I recognized in everybody else that wasn't the case, I started to sort of open myself up a little bit more to, is this something that I can really get vulnerable in? Now, a part of that vulnerability is trusting yourself to be able to handle disappointment. You're going to get disappointed. People are going to fuck up and they're going to do dumb stuff. And, you're probably going to get your feelings hurt or whatever that stuff is. But how do you take it when it happens? Are you going to curl up in a freaking fetal position with your thumb in your mouth and cry about it? Or are you going to actually just say, okay, thank you for teaching me. Thank you for teaching me who you are. And thank you for reminding me about what I don't want in my life. That's exciting. So I became somebody that was very proficient in time on not just playing ball, because I became a very good ball player. And that was a lot of work. But in communicating, in being able to predict and project ideas, thoughts, things that I felt were good strategies, becoming the general on the battlefield, just like in life. Becoming the general on the battlefield. Being able to direct, communicate, or seek out what the next strategy is to reach the goal that you have. Instead of looking at the giant ass tapestry of life itself, it's overwhelming. But you can focus on this little square inch that is going to get you to the next little square inch. Well, heck, now you got 2 inches. And then onward and upward. So as sports went, I worked on one thing at a time. I worked on the basics, on how to field a ball, throw a ball, how to run, how to bat, how to place, how to position myself based off of what I saw on their feet. I became a student of the game in sports, not just softball, all sports, because that's where I wanted to succeed. Now, translate that into business or relationships, or especially relationships, right? Paying attention to the details, being present, sacrificing, which isn't really a sacrifice, but you might want to go do X, Y, and Z, but you need to be present, which is a sacrifice in a way, but it also shows that you're very much about them and that situation and their importance. And so we put value in the things that we say are important. Now, when I went in, I said, well, I value God, family, friends, and honesty. And well, that's cool, and I'm glad you do. But you certainly didn't when you were doing all the other stuff. So that's where I needed to sort of really kind of stay in that present moment of, practice what I preach. So as sports goes, I got to a place where I was pretty much the guy that I had no problem getting picked. And if I was the captain, which I captained plenty of teams, the people loved playing for me because I made them better in how I led them. As leadership goes, I became a very good captain coach to the guys, and I made them a better player based off of all the stuff that I learned growing up in that arena. And I was making failures upon failures, but I also know that those were the ones that I'm like, I gotcha. So when I do this, I need to do that instead of that, because now, okay, that makes perfect sense. My bad. And I would practice on making those corrections, and success would come. And I would teach that to those guys. I would demonstrate first. Always demonstrate. Don't just flap your gums like you don't. Oh yeah, here's all you gotta do, boy. All right, well, show me. If it's so freaking easy, well, it's not easy. Here's what you gotta do 300 times. And on the road to that 300, you're gonna learn a lot of things. You're gonna learn about who you are, and you're gonna learn about how pissed off you're gonna be, and what you can take and what you can deal with, and how you're gonna overcome that adversity. Sports really does catapult you over the wall of adversity that really hinders us from so much. And adversity came in all kinds of forms. Adversity in trying to make somebody else on the team better that you really didn't think could get better, but yet lifting them up in a way that made them practice and try harder. And in time, they might not have been great, but they got better. And I'll have his back. You know what I mean? As a tribe goes, we show each other who we are by showing up and practicing and doing those kinds of things. So I think that's the stuff that's really, really important to understand. So as we learn as a young guy, what adversity looks like, because every time I would make a mistake on the ball field or, whatever that was, whatever took place that either led to a loss or errors, whatever that is, that adversity, I would make the changes, but I'd also know that I would take it well. Okay, I wouldn't freak out and I wouldn't melt down. I'd beat myself up a little bit because the trauma that I went through, I was really hard on myself because basically everybody else has always been hard on me. So that's what you're supposed to do, right? Whatever, that's what I was doing. I'd kick my own ass. And so I really wanted to focus on how to overcome adversity. And I wasn't great at it, but I was good enough to where it wouldn't stall me out on the things that I wanted to do. And this is where I started to really evolve and become more in tune with what did I want in life. The discipline that I was putting forth in sports, I wanted to really focus that into myself now. I wanted to really dive into, how does somebody get up in the morning and end up robbing a Circle K store and obviously in the end taking a life? That doesn't happen overnight. And those aren't normal thoughts. And that decision making was something that I was not okay with for multiple reasons. But for sure, that's something I needed to figure out. I just knew that the work that was going to go into it was going to make practicing on the ball field and doing all those things look silly. But as I roll up my sleeves, I think the thing that really helped push me in that direction was when Tony shared with me his viewpoint of having a reaction over somebody calling me a punk as opposed to not having somebody call me a chair and I don't have any reaction at all, right? So I really thought that was intelligent. I thought that was really smart and made a lot of sense. And so I started walking towards that direction, towards the direction of programs, because after a couple of years, like 93, 94, I started to, being good at sports. I've been on the yard for a few years now. I'd made some decent friends, obviously many associates. And as sports went, I pretty much have made that my foundation. And it was literally paving the way for the next chapter, the next thing that needed to be done in order to really figure out, how's this tick? What's going on in here? Right? And that was a little messy, to say the least. So I feel like one of the main things that I want to share with you guys before I wrap this up is that, in the evolution of who we are and trying to become better at the things that we're just not that good at, getting involved in something that gives us drive will revitalize that urge and that want to become a better communicator or public speaker or business entrepreneur or student or whatever those things are. To get excited about something, you really have to put some skin in the game. And mine was, obviously, I want to get out for sure, but I want to get out and add value and stop being a taker and being selfish and being clueless as to how to interact in relationships and stuff. Because, my relationship with my dad was my definition of relationship. And so that's not okay. Sports turned that around. And for those parents out there, or whoever you are, that either you're involved in sports or that you want to get your kids involved in sports or you're not quite sure, I can tell you right now, the value in that is immense. It's not everything, but it certainly gives a lot of traction to the next thing, because now they have some skills and tools and an attitude and a mindset that really shape a belief about the possibility to do the next thing. And I think that's exciting. So as that goes, I guess one of the things that I'll say as a parting word, and I do, again, appreciate you guys for showing up, and remember to subscribe, pass the word along. A lot of this stuff isn't going to be epiphanies or aha moments, but in sharing with you, I get a chance to really, get out some of the things and document some of the things that did really help me out, and hopefully can maybe assist you in some way. And like I said, getting involved in something that you really are passionate about, even if you're not good at it, watch yourself grow in areas you didn't know you were capable of. And it is a sacrifice, and it is dedication, and that's okay. It really is. Because now I have the tools to deal with the trauma that I went through as a child, and do it in such a way that you can't let up. Once you open up that Pandora's box, it's all go, no quit. And you have to use emotional intelligence in order to really focus in on your part instead of blaming everybody else, because everybody can be a victim. And I'm not saying there are not victims out there. I certainly was as a child. But my choices that I made to be where I was at, no, that was all me. No fault of anybody else. So I appreciate you. Thank you for stopping by. I look forward to talking to you again. I'll try to get another one of these out next week. I think next week we're going to get into a little bit of the opening the door to programs, and what that big world looked like, and what was the first step that I took. And I'll talk to you a little bit about getting sent out of state, overcrowding, Idaho, God bless them, going to Minnesota. Wow, that was fun and cold as hell. Did you know that the mosquitoes in Minnesota are like the freaking national bird or something? State bird. Yeah, that's what it is, state bird. Anyway, thank you guys. Appreciate you. God bless. And remember, every day is Disneyland. Every day is Disneyland. I appreciate you. Bye.